Shawshank Redemption movie review. I have exactly two thoughts on Shawshank Redemption. First of which being a discrepancy involving the length of a football field. Even though in America we commonly use football field as a unit of measurement, like, who the fuck is there some consensus on whether or not you include the end zones? Because in the hit movie Shawshank Redemption, Morgan Freeman says that Andy Dufresne crawled through five football field of pipe, but five football field of pipe is, if you don't include the end zones, then five football field is a fucking 500 yards, and 500 yards times 3 feet per yard equals 1,500 feet, and there are 5,280 feet in a mile. And if you take 5,280 and you divide it by 2, then you get 2,640, I think. 15,000 feet, which is five football field, which is five football field if you don't account for the end zones. Then you have 1,500 feet, but that's not just shy of 2,600 and fucking 840 feet. Is that what I said? Yeah. That's not just shy. That's less than 3/5. So Morgan Freeman, that means that Morgan Freeman must have included the end zones, because five football fields without the end zones is not just shy of half a mile. So if Morgan Freeman includes the end zones, I don't fucking know how much an end zone is. But if you assume that including the end zones takes it closer to, like, I don't know, like a bit less than 2,000 feet or some shit like that, then one could argue that five football fields is just shy of half a mile, but you have to include the end zones. So according to Morgan Freeman, the American unit of football field does in fact include the end zones. Yes. Maybe that's something that everyone knew before, but I didn't, because who the fuck talks about the meta of fucking football field measurement? No one talks about that. There's no consensus there. Point number 2 is, okay, so in the hit movie Shawshank Redemption, Andy Dufresne crawls through a hole and he mines it with a tiny little rock hammer, and he puts a poster over the wall. And I have like two thoughts about this shit. So one thing, getting out of the way, once he gets through the pipe, he does this little thing where he has a rock, and then he has to smash it against the pipe, but he has to wait for it to thunderstorm, because in order for him to not alert the guards and the prison warden and shit, well, he wouldn't hear the warden because the warden's probably at home. But the prison guards and shit, in order to not alert the prison guards and everyone else, he has to like wait for a lightning strike or thunderclap, and then he has to smash the rock against the pipe so that it sounds like a thunderclap. But where the fuck was I going with this? Oh yeah. Okay. Another thing is that Andy Dufresne, but he has to wait for a thunderclap. So, but what if Andy Dufresne starts crawling through? He's like, oh shit, it's thunderstorming, I'm gonna escape tonight. But then, like, he gets through the hole, and then he smashes the rock on the pipe. Or like, no, he doesn't do that yet, but he's crawling through the hole, but while he's crawling through the hole, it stops thunderclapping. And, like, what if he gets to the pipe and he takes the rock and he starts fucking smashing the pipe, but the thunderclap he hears was the last thunderclap? And then my man Dufresne is just waiting for a fucking, he's waiting for a fucking, thunderclap, and then it doesn't come, and now there's a giant dent in the pipe. And then what if it doesn't thunderstorm for, like, another fucking, I don't know, like 3 weeks or some shit? Then Andy Dufresne just has to hope that no one notices that there's a giant fucking dent in the pipe, which, to be fair, it's kind of inclined that no one ever goes back there. Or did I say inclined? I meant implied. That no one ever fucking goes back there. 'Cause, like, then when did Andy Dufresne... There's no way Andy Dufresne could have known when he was about to hit the edge of the wall. He must have just broken through the edge of the wall one night when it wasn't necessarily doing thunderclaps. And so then he would have had to wait for a night when it was thunderclaps, and during that time there'd be a giant fucking hole in the wall. So no one must ever go back there. Which, I don't know, I guess that makes sense. It's just like pipe. It's just a pipe, you know, sewage pipe. And stuff. So that's one thing. Another thing is he's mining through the wall. He's doing that shit with a tiny little rock hammer, with a mini little hammer, tiny hammer, and he has to like fucking mine through it. But the way the rock, it's like jagged. It's not going to be smooth on the inside of the hole. It's going to be fucking rough as shit. And anyone crawling through that shit is going to be cut up as fuck. Like, you come out of that, you're going to get scraped up crawling through that hole. There's no way you don't get fucking scraped up crawling through that hole like a shit ton. Like, so Andy Dufresne would have definitely had scratches on at least some of his body. So, he's going to go into bed and he's going to be fine. And then the next morning, the prison warden, like, guards and shit come in. At some point, they're going to realize, wow, Andy Dufresne, at some point over all these fucking years when he's been mining through this hole, he's like, they're going to notice that he has scratches on there. They're like, yeah, dude, why the fuck do you have scratches all over you? And those aren't scratches, those are fucking scrapes, bro. You scraped against something. Why are there scrapes all over your body, bro? What the fuck have you been up to? You know? His ass is gonna get scraped up. That's another plot hole. That's number 2 about all that stuff. Number 3 plot hole with Andy Dufresne. And this one's probably been talked about. I don't know much about the Shawshank Redemption discussion meta, but how the fuck did he get the poster secured back to the wall as perfectly as he did? How the fuck did he do that? It's like, it's not plot relevant at all. It doesn't matter whether poster's properly secured to the wall because then the warden would have found the hole like a minute earlier and it wouldn't have really mattered. But that shit is secured to the wall. It implies that Andy Dufresne used the 4-corner technique where he secures all 4 corners of the poster to the wall so that it doesn't flutter around and shit. How the fuck would he do that? Okay, so you keep the top 2 corners conserved and then you crawl underneath the poster and you go underneath the poster, but and the two corners on the bottom aren't secured. So you can do that. But Andy Dufresne, when the warden fucking threw the rock through the poster, that shit was secured to the wall on all 4 corners. The geometry of the situation would make it impossible. And you might say, well, dumbass, maybe Andy Dufresne used the technique where he does an adhesive on both the top corners and then he does a third adhesive on the bottom of the poster in the middle. And if you think about it, the geometry of the hole would make it so that Andy Dufresne could make a little tape loop, like a little loop of tape, and put it on the back of the poster. And then from the inside, maybe he could, like, put his finger through the loop and secure it to the wall, because the geometry could work because it's in the middle. And like, just think about how fucking circles and rectangles look. It's easier to secure the bottom than it is to do the corners. But like, so you could potentially do the bottom. No fucking way you could do the corner. How the fuck would that work? And also, if he did the middle, if he secured it from the middle, then okay, this prison, they may be heating the cells and stuff. They may be heating Andy Dufresne's cell, but you know what they're not heating? They're not gonna fucking heat the goddamn the place with the pipes, the sewage pipe room. There's not gonna be proper ventilation in there. It's not going to be properly air conditioned back there. So you're going to create a gradient of air densities and air heats between Andy Dufresne's cell and the room with the pipes. And so there's going to be a draft. There's going to be a fucking draft. And the draft, if Andy used the four-corner technique of securing the poster to the wall, then maybe the poster would be unaffected by the draft. That's feasible. Okay, that makes sense. But if Andy Dufresne used the two adhesive in the top corners of the poster and the one in the middle, then the bottom two corners would be unsecure, and the air gradient between Andy Dufresne's cell and the room with the pipes would cause a draft and it'd make the corners fucking flap around. And if you watch the hit movie Shawshank Redemption, then you'll notice that the corner posters aren't flapping about. How the fuck is that? That don't make no sense. That means that Andy Dufresne would have had to secure the poster from the bottom two corners as well, which is physically fucking impossible, and that's why Shawshank Redemption is the worst movie ever made.